do we expect conflict in marriage? What do we have to say about people who make us feel like they've been having a smooth ride in their marriage and they've never had any issues with any conflict per se in their home? What do we, because okay, like there is a very renowned man of God that he he tried to illustrate something, and he said during the time they were preparing for their marriage, their counselor told them that he asked them a question that have you ever quarreled before? And they said no. And then he told them that they were not prepared for marriage yet. They should go back. And he said it's impossible for them to quarrel. And the counselor was wondering, what do you mean by it is impossible? Because of course the counselor is married, and he knows that in the context of marriage, it's difficult that such things doesn't come. The counselor said, when two are staying together, there is no how that one will not step on another toes. And then the man of God said, now that we are still together, am I stepping on your toes? And the counselor said, no. He said, so it means that I'm not blind. So I see your toes, I can't go and step on it. You understand? So it is impossible for us to fall into any conflict because we are not blind. Okay? So we understand probably where he's coming from, but does anybody want to really say what he feels the man of God means by they don't have conflicts, or it's impossible for them to have conflict in their home?
Okay, from my understanding of what he was saying,
Yeah.
because I remember then he was talking about the scripture that says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." That was one of the fundamental passages he was talking about. So he was talking about how many books he had read on marriage. So before even getting into the institution, he had already prepared himself, made research, read about it. You understand? And so some of the things that were supposed to be issues were things that he had read about. So I think he's talking from the place of understanding. That if I understand that this is where you like to keep your leg, then I'm not blind. I should use my sense not to step on you. You understand? So that's from what I heard him say, that was the perspective he was coming from. That he and has prepared himself, she has prepared herself. So it's not as if, the way I want to see it is like, it's not as if conflict will not come, but it's the result of the conflict. So if I know that this is it and this is you and this is me, why should there be a fight? That was the way I saw it. But if we look at it generally, that was his own perspective. But if we look at it generally, there is no way that we'll say there's no conflict. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because conflict is healthy. Do you understand? It now depends on what kind of conflict and how it is handled. But I think conflict is healthy because conflict, we can see conflict as challenges. If you pick it as challenge and then you are saying, okay, this is an issue, it needs to be tackled. What is making this happen? And then I pick it from that perspective. So even when you hear of issues of conflict resolution in our everyday life, conflict is not the issue, but the resolutions that come and then the aftermath of the conflict are usually some of the issues that.
Okay, so are you saying it's not necessary that they don't quarrel or don't have issues to quarrel about, or at all they do not have by his own statements?
By his own statement, you
Yeah.
say, is it that at all they don't
Do
have?
we think that his own statement connotes that they never had conflicts, or they never had reasons to have conflict, or the conflict came and they just felt like they should not entertain it? What do you we want to understand what he meant by that?
Okay,
That issue of we are not blind, we cannot have
That's why I'm saying that the way me I understood the entire,
yeah,
because it's like picking a phrase from an entire.
yeah.
Yes, you understand. And so the way I saw it in its entirety, I want to go with your last point. There's conflict. Do you understand?
Mm,
There's conflict, but because you know your lane, I know my lane. You know what you should do, I know what I should do. You understand?
mm,
That understanding should not make it turn to a fight,
okay.
because he was referring to conflict like fight.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
That's from the negative perspective. So it should
Okay.
not cause a fight,
Okay.
because he expects that with knowledge, you know that this is your part, this is my part. I think
Okay.
that was what I heard.
Yeah. So, well, me, the understanding I also have was not that there were no reasons why they should have conflict in their home, or reasons for fight never came. Okay, because these things are inevitable in marriages. So now when the man of God said, I can't have problem in my home, or we have never had problems in our homes, conflict in our homes. Now, people might not fully understand what he meant. It's so enclosed that many people will begin to have problem with that statement, to say like, how possible is it? This man is lying. Okay. It could be that he has already determined in his own heart that no matter what comes, I will not have issues with it. I'm not going to create time, to begin to develop a problem or have a conflict with my spouse. That could just be it. It doesn't necessarily mean that issues that should have caused such rifts never came. But they came, he or she, it could be her, the spouse, that decided to turn blind eyes to whatever it is and say, this man, okay, let's just, allow everything slide. And also on his own side, she does something, say, okay, let me just, I don't have time for all of this. Okay. So it wasn't because they never had issues or reasons why they should maybe exchange words or have some heated talks or argument in the house. That is, I think, what I also want to.
I think I like the fact that you're talking about there definitely were times that there will have been heated talks.
Yes.
And disagreements.
But they decided not to.
But they decided not to make a big deal
out of it, right? Okay. So that is one thing I want to.
That doesn't mean that there's no.
So is its definition?
What's even quarrel? Quarrel is like a small portion of the conflict.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if there's a conflict, okay, something happened, and then the fact that you chose to turn a blind eye and don't want to say anything and let it slide, doesn't make it okay. Doesn't make it doesn't make that it never happened. No, it happened. So the fact that you don't say anything about it, and sometimes like it's not even healthy like that. It's not healthy. It's like doesn't mean that.
Yeah, I actually understand.
So it's not healthy. Sometimes
it means somebody's bottling up some things, right?
Exactly, and it gets to a point that it becomes even a bigger conflict that cannot be resolved because you have kept a bottle up. And then when you keep bottling up, the day you explode. So
and interestingly, that day when he made that comment, I was wishing the mic was given to his wife.
Okay.
Do you understand? Because he made the comments.
Thank
I was
you,
like, this is from your own point of view.
You know, people mic now.
for me.
So you put that
They don't give a mic. We'll start for them.
And that's me. I see that as deceptive.
Of course.
Because you're giving. If there were people that are to be married, then they're giving them a very wrong notion about marriage, and then that's very deceptive. And you make them enter into a relationship that they feel there should be no quarrel and conflict. Come on, it's really not healthy.
So I think we are seeing a very big problem with that statement, right?
Yes, I wish he put it in a better way. Do you understand? Or I wish he broke down his intention. But my own gathering is actually from the place of knowledge, where he said the place of, if okay. So whenever he wanted to launch into anything, he made sure that he had vast knowledge of that thing, so that and his intention is so that he doesn't fail. Do you understand? So that's what I was saying. If you just pick the statement and you don't really understand where he's coming from,
Context.
yes, the context, it is actually very wrong. It is not true. It is false. Do you understand? But from the context that he was speaking, it was more like he was encouraging people that the place of knowledge was very, very key. You understand? That if you have knowledge, which is one of his anchor scripture, was that Jeremiah, where he talks about my people perishing for lack of knowledge. So he said if he wants to launch into anything, he reads and okay, it's Hosea. Thank you. Okay, so he reads and reads to see where people have made mistakes, where people have excelled. He reads to the point that he doesn't want to make the mistakes those people have made, and he wants to build on whatever pedestal they already have set. You understand? So that was this thing.
All right. And I think they are fathers in the faith, yeah. We can't say we are correcting them, but I think the issue there that sometimes I really wish that they know that it's not everybody that is at their level of understanding. Okay. And it's the same kind of statement that this guy makes sometimes. I'm sorry to divert a bit. There's this popular pastor in Akwa Ibom that makes a lot of issues with tithing. Okay, we remember him, right? There was a time also he brought up this issue of once saved, forever saved, and that became a very strong issue. All right, but when after listening so closely to him, my conclusion was he was talking from the perspective of the people who remained with Christ without turning back. Okay, those who are operating at that level, that okay, I have been saved and I have chosen to remain saved. Okay, because there are conditions for you to remain saved and keep on being saved. Okay, me, I see him talking from that level, but now he forgot to also talk about the level of those who decided to go back. You get that now? What becomes their fate? So he made it a blanket statement that everybody just feels like once today I say pray, and that's why even if you meet a prostitute on the way today and you say, have you accepted Jesus? She will say, yes, I'm born again. Okay, but she's into prostitution. They are doing yahoo yahoo. They are doing a lot of things that are hurting people and causing God grief. Okay, but then he's not understanding that there are people who have not understood his own statement. And there was a day my wife almost picked quarrel with me before for commenting because she feels like I should not worry much about this man. I should allow him to, I just felt like, okay, this man, you have very vast knowledge. I had to comment on one of their posts. You have very vast understanding of the scriptures and you are very good teacher. But however, I feel you are not complete in your addressing this topic. You are focused on those who are already inside. Actually, as Jesus said, the sheep that got lost, he left the 99 and went for. Okay, so it means there is a getting lost.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, there is a getting lost. So he's not addressing those that are lost. He's just focusing on those 99 that are there. Okay, which is not a holistic teaching, and that has really caused a lot of damage in Christendom today. That you find it difficult to preach to people now because they just feel like forever saved. And in fact, some people even come out outrightly to tell you that you don't need to worry. Once you have been saved, just continue living your life. And that is what is happening today. Okay, so we also have to, I don't know, our fathers of faith, maybe they will get to know or hear some of this in someday, that when you are making some of these statements, consider it that people are of different level of spirituality and make your teaching complete and wholesome. Okay, I think that is very, very key. Like we said, some people who are about to get married, they will go with that mindset that Bishop said or Papa said or this man of God said, I have never had issues in my marriage before, so therefore I'm not. Okay, sorry, Taryn.